Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Aftermath of Konstantin's death, John fights pawn, Marlena's awful news. Days of Our Lives reveal that questions will swirl now that Konstantin Meliunis has faced a grim fate. Xander Cook shot Konstantin, who uttered a final warning before he took his last breath. Konstantin refocused out that there was still an adversary in their midst, so now Xander, Brady Black and Alex Kyriakis are all curious what he meant. On Tuesday's DOL occasion, day spoilers say the three of them will continue to consider that strange warning while Teresa Donovan grows decreasingly nervous. Teresa will presumably prompt everyone to concentrate on the fact that Konstantin is gone and can't hurt anyone presently, but Alex, Brady, and Xander will still feel like they were missing a piece of the mystification. Of course, Alex will also have further questions about Konstantin's asseveration that Victor Kyriakis was his father. Teresa formerly prompted Alex not to hear and tried to play it like Konstantin was pertaining to Victor's turndown to admit Alex when he was alive. Still, Alex may worry that there was further to the story and that Konstantin knew commodity that he didn't. As for Konstantin's adversary hint, Alex and the others may soon believe he was talking about John Black. That's because John's programming seems to be coming back now that he's seen the red card and has flashed back Konstantin's fatal order. The pawn may try to finish wounded Steve Johnson out, but it looks like John will eventually fight the swaying formerly again, maybe with some help from Brady once he returns outside. Other day spoilers say Marlena Evans will have some awful news for Stephanie Johnson regarding Everett Lynch aka Robert Bobby Stein. Now that Bobby has buried Everett nearly within, Marlena might confess there's a chance Everett will no way resurface. Stephanie still loves Everett despite this whole mess, so she'll have trouble managing with Marlena's updates, and also she'll have to find out about Steve's scary fire as well. Grounded on our day's prognostications, Steve will be just fine once he gets renovated up at the sanitarium, so Stephanie and Kayla Johnson won't have to fret for too long. That said, Days of Our Lives spoilers say John may need to go through another round of deprogramming to make sure the pawn is out of his system for good. The aftermath of Konstantin's death, John fights pawn, Marlena's awful news. The fate of Konstantin's death transferred shockwaves through the lives of those intertwined with him, reshaping fates and kindling battles on multiple fronts. Konstantin had always been a redoubtable force, a shadow that impended large, and his death was anything but quiet. His demise, an explosive capstone of a series of advised moves and ineluctable backstabbings, left a void filled with chaos and query. As the dust settled, the reverberations of his absence began to echo through the lives of John, Marlena, and numerous others who had been unwitting players in Konstantin's intricate game. John, a man hardened by times of battling both external adversaries and his internal demons, set up himself thrust into a new kind of war. The death of Konstantin hadn't only created a power vacuum but had also stirred the dark forces that had long been kept at bay. One similar force was the enigmatic reality known only as the pawn. The pawn, a relic of John's tumultuous history, was a living testament to the minatory manipulations of those who sought to control fates from the murk. With Konstantin gone, the pawn saw an occasion to rise from the ashes, to reclaim power and influence. John knew that the battle ahead would be brutal, a test of his adaptability and cunning. The pawn wasn't just a redoubtable opponent but also a symbol of John's darkest fears and regrets. Every hassle with the pawn was a memorial of the history he'd tried to lead before, a history where he'd been manipulated and used as a tool in someone differently's game. The fight wasn't just for survival but for redemption, for reclaiming the fractions of his soul that had been shattered by times of conflict and treason. As John prepared for the ineluctable showdown, Marlena, his loyal mate, was dealing with her own demons. The news she had entered was nothing short of ruinous. Marlena, a lamp of strength and compassion, had always been the emotional anchor for those around her. But the weight of the news she now carried hovered to pull her under. It was news that not only affected her but had the implicit to fracture the fragile peace that had been so painstakingly erected. The awful news was a ticking time lemon, a disclosure that, once participated, would change everything. Marlena had always been a master of navigating the intricate web of mortal feelings, but this time, the stakes were advanced than ever ahead. The news wasn't just a particular blow but a catalyst for a series of events that could unravel the lives of those she held dear. In the wake of Konstantin's death, alliances were tested and commitment questioned. The power dynamics that had formerly been held in a delicate balance were now teetering on the edge of chaos. Those who had formerly been abettors set up themselves at odds, each fighting for control in a world that had been reared. The vacuum left by Konstantin's departure was a parentage ground for new conflicts and old grievances. For John, the fight against the pawn was a fight for the future, a chance to eventually lay to rest the ghosts of the history. For Marlena, the battle was more particular, a struggle to hold on to stopgap in the face of inviting despair. John's hassles with the pawn were nothing short of harrowing. Each battle was a cotillion of murk and light, a test of head and restraint. The pawn was a master manipulator, always one step ahead, always anticipating John's moves. But John was driven by a resoluteness forged in the fires of numerous battles. He knew that to master the pawn, he'd have to outmaneuver him, to anticipate his every move and fight it with perfection. The fight was as important cerebral as it was physical. The pawn thrived on fear and mistrustfulness, using them as munitions to weaken his opponents. John had to sword himself against these tactics, to remain focused on the thing ahead. Every hassle left him more determined, more bent in his charge to put an end to the pawn's reign of terror. Meanwhile, Marlena was scuffling with the emotional fallout of the news she had entered. The weight of it was nearly unsupportable, a burden that hovered to crush her under its enormity. She had always been the gemstone for those around her, the one people turned to in times of extremity. But now, she set up herself in need of that same strength and support. The news was a secret she couldn't keep to herself, yet participating it meant opening a Pandora's box of pain and query. Marlena knew that the verity had to come out, but the timing and manner of its disclosure were pivotal. It was a delicate balance, one that needed careful consideration and an understanding of the far-reaching counter-accusations. As John and Marlena navigated their separate battles, the world around them continued to unravel. The death of Konstantin had set in stir a series of events that were beyond anyone's control. Power struggles erupted as former abettors turned against each other, each seeking to fill the void left by Konstantin's absence. The intricate web of alliances and jaundice that had formerly held the world together was now rasping at the edges, hanging to collapse into chaos. In this tumultuous geography, John and Marlena stood as lights of stopgap and adaptability. Their love and commitment to each other were the anchors that kept them predicated, indeed as the world around them hovered to spin out of control. The trip ahead was fraught with peril and query. For John, the fight against the pawn was a battle for the soul, a test of his strength and resoluteness. He knew that the path to pawn would be laborious, but he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For Marlena, the battle was one of the heart and mind, a struggle to come to terms with the awful news and to find a way to move forward. Together, they would have to navigate the unfaithful waters of their new reality, drawing on their inner strength and the love they participated. In the end, the fate of Konstantin's death was a gauntlet that tested the limits of their abidance and the depths of their courage. It was a time of reckoning, a moment when the choices they made would determine the course of their future. As they faced their separate battles, John and Marlena knew that they couldn't do it alone. They would need each other further than ever, drawing on the strength of their bond to ride the storms ahead. The road to redemption and mending was long and fraught with pitfall, but with each step, they moved closer to a future where the murk of the history could eventually be laid to rest. In this geography of query and conflict, John and Marlena's trip was a testament to the enduring power of love and adaptability. Their story was one of stopgap and determination, a memorial that indeed in the darkest of times, the light of the mortal spirit could shine through. As they faced the fate of Konstantin's death, they did so with the knowledge that together, they could overcome any handicap, and that their love would be the guiding force that led them through the storm.